Hey Tony, it's Friday, and first off, to answer your question of the week, I've only ever had two characters who actually died. One was actually a valid death that didn't really impact me, except for it's a pretty funny story. The other one was kind of a BS death, and that one, like, if it had any impact on me, it was more just it made my enjoyment for D&D not as great as it could be otherwise. Just because I really enjoyed that character, and the way he died, I didn't get a chance to really finish his story at all, or really even, like, progress on it, so I was a little disappointed on that. Otherwise, what I want to talk about this week is I don't really have a lot to talk about. Similar to you, the impeachment stuff was about as I expected, except it was actually worse than I expected, only insofar as the Senate didn't even have witnesses. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to a trial before, but trials, particularly trials of this magnitude, you need witnesses. Now, I knew from the start that the Democrats were never going to get enough votes. It was really just a waste of time. But what I really, what I worry about mostly is that I think there's been a precedent set now of if you don't like the person who's in the White House, you hit them with a bunch of investigations and then impeach them if you have the votes in Congress. And I worry about that because I'm personally under the assumption I really do think Trump's going to win in 2020. I hope not, but I really think he will. So long as the economy stays strong, the Democrats burnt through a lot of political capital with the whole impeachment stuff with really nothing to show for it. So I definitely believe Trump's going to win. And also, the Democrats can't even get their primaries together. Like, the stuff in Iowa has just been embarrassing through and through. Now, it might get better, it might not, but I really do think the ball is in Trump's court right now, and I think I really think he's going to win in 2020. Which I said, it leads me to my concern on what the investigation process is going to be in the future, because I can really see, and this isn't even necessarily a Democrat or Republican thing. I can see whatever party is in power in Congress, if they don't like what this president's doing, they can trump up any charges that they want and have the votes to go through it. But it leads me back to some of, like, what I've mentioned before, my concerns with the hyperpolarization we have. If the parties actually sat down and actually talked, they would see that a lot of their viewpoints aren't necessarily that different. I mean, American liberalism is fairly conservative throughout the rest of the world, and American conservatism is almost radical in a lot of other places. But a lot of the moderates, or not so much moderates, but a lot of, like, the establishment politicians you have, a lot of their viewpoints are very similar, in which, like, a lot of them are working for the big money in politics. A lot of them are working just for, like, what they feel is the process in the future. And I feel like we're really lacking some form of understanding, or at least some form of discussion to make it so we can actually sit and have a functioning government. Because I can say since 2012, I'll even say since 2008, when Obama won the presidency, we've barely had a functioning government. I think Obama did great things with what he was given, but it still doesn't change the fact that we had several government shutdowns in just 10 years since, 12 years since, and it's fairly wild. Now, I personally think that getting some new blood in Congress might help bridge the divide, because just by nature, younger people tend to be more liberal, and younger people tend to be more in sync with the politics of the rest of the world. Whereas right now, it's very much the establishment politicians that you have who've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. Sorry, I'm dealing with a sinus infection, so don't mind my coughing. But a lot of the politicians who've been in Congress or in the government for as many years as they have, it's really like it's stopped being about functioning and more been about, how is this going to establish my legacy? What is this going to mean in the future? Which actually leads me to some pretty cool news. So I already told Mom and Dad about this. Spaz sits on my glasses. Dorky cat. But I already told mom and dad about this, but I'm actually working on Joe Kennedy III's Senate campaign for Massachusetts. Now, Joe Kennedy's going up against Ed Markey, and Ed Markey has been he's been in the government for 40 years. Now, he's had a good 40 years. He's pushed a lot of progressive policies. He's pushed a lot. He's done a lot of good things, but he's been around for 40 years. And quite frankly, we need some new blood in there. I noticed that with our Congressman Richard Neal as well. Richard Neal's also done a lot of great things, but Richard Neal has also been doing this for decades, and they're both in their late 60s, early 70s, and that's just not that's not sustainable. In order to have a functioning government in the future, we have to make sure we get more people my age in Congress. Like mom and dad are still fairly young by political standards, but even they're nearing 60. And so we need people who are, my age or in their 30s and 40s to really get more involved. And it starts at the local level. Now, what I'm doing right now is focusing on the state level to go to the national level, but it's something that I really feel is needed is we need more people in there. We need younger people. We need people with fresh ideas to come into the government, or else we're just going to keep spiraling down the same drain we have for my whole life. And it's something that needs to be done. So Tony, my question for you is what do you think of politics? Do you think we need more young people in there, or do you think it's more or less okay with people mom and dad's age? Tony, I'll see you on Tuesday. Later, bro.